to the breakfast show here on Faith FM. With myself, Skafy, I have Lindsay here with me, and of course, producer Sandy sitting at the production desk. We are going to inaugurate this section here of our show, the third hour, with a quiz question, a brand new quiz question to sharpen our minds, to sharpen our Bible knowledge here directly from producer Sandy.
In the book of 2 Timothy, why did Demas desert Paul? In the book of 2 Timothy, why did Demas desert Paul? 0491064669. Please send us a message and tell us why it is that you think Demas deserted the Apostle Paul.
I think that this is the reason.
Skafy's on it. Good job.
Here.
Lindsay is having a think, having a bit of a wild guess. No, that is not correct,
Let me see your
Lindsay.
answer, Lindsay. Okay.
I don't know. I just came up with something.
I mean, you know, what he did could have led to that, but
Yeah,
not
I mean, ultimately, for sure.
That's
Yeah, but that's not the explicit
that's
reason.
not the explicit
Alrighty.
reason. That's right. So
Was
yes,
it kind of close?
no.
No. Okay.
In the book of 2 Timothy, why did Demas desert Paul? Tell us your answer. Send us a message to 0491 064 669.
Very good. Well, that's a great Bible passage, very interesting one.
Mm-hmm.
And we are also going to remind you that today, in about 40 minutes' time, at 8:45, we are going to have a very special occasion. We are going to draw the name out of the hat to see who is going to win our January birthday draw. So if you were born in January, there's still time. Text us to 0491-064-669 and you can get into the birthday draw to win a Bible, a board game, cookbook, dinner with a host, or a voucher that will be sent to you. So there is still time. And producer Sandy is organizing the roulette here, the randomizer. So we make sure that the person that's going to win will be completely random.
Okay.
Okay, we're going to spin the wheel, and we're going to do the sound effects for that, right, producer Sandy?
Certainly are.
Okay, so we're going to have the whole thing going on here. We are also now going to start our Bible study on a book of Philippians, and today we have a new chapter, Lindsay.
Do we?
Yeah, how do you feel about
three
new
now?
chapter? New chapter, new life,
Yep.
you know, something new to explore. Yeah, new chapter 3 of Philippians now. And we are going to explore what the Apostle Paul said to the Philippians. And this is going to be a very interesting chapter. I think it's a pretty famous chapter in Philippians.
Mm-hmm.
Philippians is, I think, it's an overall very famous epistle of Paul.
Yeah, I like it.
But this is going to be a particularly interesting passage. We're going to look into that now. So stay tuned. If you have the Bible with you, radio friend, you can open it up. We're going to be looking at it verse by verse. If you have questions about the book of Philippians, if you have insights, you can always text us here as well, and we are going to read them on air for you. Lindsay, why don't you start us by reading verse 1 of the 3rd chapter of the Gospel according to the Philippians, aka the letter to the Philippians.
Rightio.
Okay.
Okay, it says, "Finally, my brethren, rejoice in the Lord. For me to write the same things to you is not tedious, but for you it is safe. Beware of dogs, beware of evil workers, beware of the mutilation."
Okay, let's just pause here for a second here. I have to brainwash my brain a little bit
Okay.
because I'm going to explain what it is, but I couldn't help but thinking of a meme song when it says, "Beware of the dogs."
I don't know.
Do you know
that?
that?
No.
Oh, good on you.
Okay.
Okay, so never mind. Sorry if I rang a little bit of a bell in your brain
Is that
there.
a
Radio.
bad song?
Yeah,
or-
it's just a funny song that sticks to your mind.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so
we have different algorithms.
we have different algorithms for sure. So Paul is saying here, I will say again, rejoice in the Lord. To write the same things again and again is no trouble to me. That's just safeguard to you. This is actually, I think this is a message to parents. This is a message to preachers. Because sometimes we feel that, hey, why do I have to say the same things again and again and again? You know, have you ever been in that situation? Well, you're not a mom yet, Lindsay.
No.
But for parents, Sandy, have you ever find yourself telling the same things again and again and again to your children?
Oh, like yesterday?
Yeah.
And I have teenagers?
Yeah. Look what the Apostle Paul says here. To write or to say the same things again is no trouble to me, and it is a safeguard for you. Actually, the Apostle Paul said, hey, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
It's a good thing that I am reminding you and telling you again and again the same things.
Well, I guess it's consistency, for one thing.
Yeah.
Having that consistent message is good and is very important
Yeah.
for children,
From
for anyone.
It is
Yeah.
for everyone. This is the thing. I have a bad theology
Oh,
internally
okay.
in that regard, because even though I believe what the Apostle Paul is saying here, my life, I practice it the other way around. I kind of expect that, look, if I say something to my children, for example, or to someone, if I say it once,
That
that
should be
message, that should be enough. Look, I already told you. Funnily enough, this is not me, by the way. This is another story. But there is this couple, and they were doing marriage therapy. They have been married for like 50 odd years. Like, they have been married for a long time. They were like in the 70s. And one of the things that the wife kind of complained to the therapist is that, hey, you know what? My husband, he never tells me that he loves me. Aww. And you know what he said? He says, oh, I told you that I loved you in the day that we got married, and I haven't changed my mind since. So why would I have to tell this again and again to you every time?
Oh, no.
Once should be enough.
I told you once, I haven't changed my mind. The day that I stop loving you, I'll say it. But in the meantime, consider that it's the same message that I spoke to you once 50 years ago.
Well,
no, don't be like this man.
no, but
Not
like
recommended.
from a neuroscience perspective, like when you repeat an action or when you hear something multiple times, when something goes into your brain multiple times, it is building the neural pathways in your brain. It is strengthening and thickening those neural pathways. So imagine like you've got these two different points in your brain, and they've never been connected before. And then there's one connection made, and it's like a tiny little cotton thread. But every time you make that connection over and over, you're making it thicker, you're making it like a yarn, you're making it like a rope. It's becoming bigger and bigger. And so it's important that we hear the same message again and again. If it's a positive, good message, like I love you, my dear wife, or whether it comes from the Bible, because that's going to strengthen and help us think in those ways a lot easier. And it's important that we minimize or stop ourselves from having negative neural pathways being built, or to actively go out of our ways to break those down over time by disuse, so that we are ending up just automatically going in the more positive pathways that we're building in our brains.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're saying here that I can continue making up the same mistakes again and again, and you'll be happy to just keep reminding me of what I should be doing?
I think it's important for you to recognize that is a habit that you've built that is not healthy for you or anyone around you, and for you to actively fight against that, ask the Holy Spirit to help you, and in its place build positive neural pathways and things for you to do.
That is the interesting thing here, because in that space of repetition, which nobody, let's be honest, nobody likes to repeat the same things again and again and again. And at some point, you're going to start figuring out, are you doing this on purpose? Like, haven't I repeated that enough times that your neural pathways have solidified by now, and you know exactly what you're doing, you're choosing not to? But there's this phrase by C.S. Lewis, and he says, we as human beings, we often need more reminding than instructing.
Right. Yep.
So more times we need more reminding than instructing.
Yep.
And I have to say I struggle with that one, because my brain likes novel things and new things.
Yep.
That's me, Skafy,
Keep
personally.
it interesting.
That's my personality as well.
Yep.
There's a lot of people that thrive and they love routine,
not
and
me.
that's definitely not me as well. But when you look at the Bible, how many times, for example, God says, do not fear? Do you know?
365?
Exactly. One time. So it's almost like for every day of the year, God has a different Bible verse saying, do not fear. Why? Well, because we forget it all the time.
Yeah.
Why is the Sabbath so important? Why couldn't Adam and Eve just keep one Sabbath, the first one, the Christian Sabbath, and God said, okay, now that you have kept the Sabbath and kept it holy, off you go. You don't even ever need to go back again. Why do we have to go back to these rhythms? Yeah. Because we need reminding. Yeah. We need repetition.
And like that repetition is specifically for creating relationship.
Yeah.
Like intimate relationship with God, or with our friends and our family, like really, consistently showing up in those relationships.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Look, I remember I was sitting on a class one time, and the teacher said something that really resonated with me. She says this, for example, imagine when you are getting dressed in the morning, okay? Listener, you're included in that one, okay? So imagine that with me. How do you do to, for example, put on your pants? Do you put on your pants while seated on your bed or as you were or standing up? Do you put in your right foot first or your left foot first? Have you ever thought about that?
No.
For example, I normally put my right foot first.
Okay.
And do you know why? I didn't know why, but then the teacher was explaining because when you were a child, when your mom used to dress you up, she probably put that same foot forward first. And then she did that so many times that our brain just associated, I'll just go with the right foot first. Now, try to do that following experiment. If you when you put your pants on, if you wear pants or let's say if you put your shirt on, for example, if you start with your right hand or your left hand, just pay attention to what you normally do and try to reverse the order. So, for example, if you put your shoes on, if you always put like your right shoes first and then your left shoes or vice versa, try to do the other way or the opposite way. See what happens. What happens is that it's going to be easy, but then tomorrow you're going to forget unless you need constant reminders of that until it becomes a new habit. You're always going to do this. Same thing, for example, you can apply this across the board. For example, which hand do you use to brush your teeth? I use my right hand, and if I try to use my left hand, it's pretty lousy. And even if I intentionally go out of my way to do this because I want to exercise and strengthen my brain, my neural pathways, after a couple of days, I'm going to reverse back to normal. And this is us with sin. We're always reverting back to sin.
Yeah.
And this is why God needs to remind us all the time, but also tell us why. And the point that my teacher was saying is that she was making an application for marriages. Because in marriages, like we all come from different families of origin, and we all come with our own quirks and habits and things that we do. And our spouses, our husbands, our wives, they come with a different set of behaviors, and some of them annoy us.
Yeah.
My wife does things that annoy me, and I do things that annoy her. I'm sure that Sandy's husband do some things that annoy her and vice versa. And when you get married, Lindsay, that's going to happen to you as well. It's normal.
Yeah.
So she says this, instead of screaming and kicking and fighting and saying, I have told you already once, do this or don't do this, says, isn't it better to realize that, hey, this is such a strong neural pathway. Your spouse has been doing that same thing for decades long. Do you think that saying this once or twice or thrice is going to be enough to change 30 odd years of neural pathways? It's not. So the point that she's making is be considerate and be patient with your spouse, the same way that you would want them to be patient with your own mistakes, and realize that, hey, a gentle reminder goes a long way into establishing a new habit, as opposed to saying, hey, I already told you, you stepped on my foot, or you did this or did that, or that's not the best way to go. Because the reality is, yes, you have told them, yes, they probably remember what you've said to them, but don't underestimate the power of habit, including of bad habits.
Yeah.
These things need time to change.
Yeah, definitely. And we need to have grace for each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So for the Apostle Paul, he learned that lesson, and I'm so glad to hear that from him. He says, you know what? To write the same things again and again is no trouble to me.
Yeah.
If it is a safeguard for you, if it's going to remind you of what's going. And then now that we spoke about that, let's say, okay, what is it that Paul is reminding them yet again?
We've gotten one verse in so far.
Yeah.
So, okay. Beware of dogs, beware of evil workers, beware of the mutilation. For we are the circumcision who worship God in the Spirit, rejoice in Christ Jesus, and have no confidence in the flesh.
Okay, let's pause here. So what is the admonition here that Paul is making to the Philippians?
We are the people who worship God in the Spirit.
Yeah, but beware of what?
Oh, beware of dogs.
Yeah, what about cats?
No, cats are fine.
All right. So
I don't
what are
think he's
dogs?
talking
Can you think about dogs?
I don't
Like
think
talking
he's
about
talking
doggies?
No, I don't think he's talking about your pet.
Beware. In my house, I have one of these signs saying "Beware of the dog."
Yeah.
I only have a sausage dog, but I thought that if I had a plaque saying "Beware of the dogs," that would, spook some potential intruders out because
Yeah.
they don't know if it's a Rottweiler or if
Yeah.
it's a tiny little sausage
Now we
dog,
all
which is the
know.
case. Yeah. Now you do know if you're listening to the Breakfast Show.
Please
But if you're
don't.
listening to the Breakfast Show, you're probably not going to try to break into my house.
Let's hope not.
My house. If you do, come in and say hi. We're going to talk about this show.
Yeah, and the breast and the sausage dog.
Yes. So, what are dogs? Dogs were a unclean people.
Okay.
Okay, unclean people. Now, unclean people are not people that don't take showers.
Sure.
But unclean people are people that don't regard the holy things holy.
Right.
People that don't care, really. People that are careless in spiritual terms. This is one of the use of the ancient word for, hey, beware of the dogs. And it basically, Paul talks about beware of the dogs, beware of evil workers, and beware of false circumcision. So false circumcision are people that claim to be circumcised, claim to be Jews, but they are false workers. They are dogs. They don't really have the discernment for the spiritual things of God. And said, look, be careful with them.
So they're like people kind of like in a church environment who are certainly not representing God's character.
Yes, but they have a veneer that they are. And that's the problem. Because, you don't need to tell people, hey, beware of evil people.
Yeah.
Because everybody knows this. You don't need to be reminded of that.
Yeah.
But when Paul's saying, hey, beware of the evil that disguises itself as good. And there's a
Yeah.
lot of discernment that needs to that.
Yeah.
Because a lot of these times, people like that, what Paul is calling dogs in that context here, they will look like, very tame, nice, beautiful people.
The wolves in sheep's clothing.
Yeah, but then their lives are actually going against, and Paul says, like, beware so that you don't get influenced by them.
Yeah, true.
You're listening to the Breakfast Show podcast on Faith FM. Positively different.
We gotta get now the answer to the previous quiz question. So I got that one right. I think that your ginger water lost its potency a little bit, Lindsay.
It was cooling down at the end there.
Cooling down.
In the book of 2 Timothy, Demas deserted Paul because he loved the world.
Oh,
Yes.
So Lindsay's answer was he had bad theology. Loving
which
the
is-
world is going
which is all right,
to
yeah.
lead to bad
pretty.
theology.
I was
Yeah, and vice versa,
I was
too.
on the right sort of track.
You're in the
were.
right track,
You
yeah.
were. So
Yes.
yes, in the book of 2 Timothy, Demas deserted Paul because he loved the world.
Love the world. Man. That's actually, every time that I read that passage, like, I feel like this sadness that
It is.
it's
very,
a heavy
very sad.
passage, isn't it?
Yeah.
You compare it to sort of Moses in the book of Hebrews. It says that he despised the riches of Egypt because he knew that God had something better for him.
Yeah.
Yes.
And Demas.
What a contrast.
unfortunately, Yeah.
Yeah, but I can imagine like just the weight in Paul's voice and the disappointment of saying
Yep.
like, he loved the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow. Very good. Do we have a new quiz question, Producer Sandy? Please
We
share
do.
it with us.
This one is good luck.
Oh, okay.
Good luck. Shell's really gone and dug deep for this one.
Okay.
Okay.
In Micah 1 verse 8,
Oh dear.
because of Israel's sin, Micah would howl like a wild dog and moan like what kind of bird? And there's two different birds depending on the translation that you could
I think I know this
say
one.
which is correct. In Micah 1 verse 8, because of Israel's sin, Micah would howl like a wild dog and moan like what kind of bird?
Did I
Yes,
get it right?
Skafy. Wow.
Okay.
You're
I know my birds.
very, very good. 0491064669. Our listeners can look up the answer.
That's right. I'm just delighting myself in the question mark hovering over Lindsay's head.
Lindsay's face is a picture of what on earth. In Micah 1 verse 8, because of Israel's sin, Micah would howl like a wild dog and moan like what kind of bird? Just
I will,
take a wild guess,
I'll tell
Lindsay.
you this, Lindsay. I'll give you a tip for you. I'll help you out today, my friend.
I don't know if
It's
that's
not
allowed.
it's not a rooster nor a chicken. So it's not like
Oh, thank you. That's very handy.
so
I
because
wasn't gonna go that way.
like some people may moan like chooks, but that's definitely not Micah.
Oh, look, the only one that's really coming to mind is this one.
Yeah, that
that's-
is actually correct.
I was right.
You gave a different answer to Skafy,
Yeah.
but depending on your translation there, you could get either one of your two
good
answers. And you're
on
both
you.
correct. So,
Yeah.
So it looks
something
like
to be said for wild
the ginger
guesses.
water was working after all.
Yeah, and also my Bible reading does, the more you read the Bible, the more it strengthens the neural pathways in your brain, you remember it better.
That's right.
You gotta
Very
just keep
good.
reading
Well
it,
done for
keep
you.
listening to
So
it.
our listeners, let's
What
look
message
up
from
your verse
Bruce?
and tell us the answer.
Well, that's it from Bruce here.
What has Bruce
And
got to
Bruce shared up with us a Bible verse, and I think that it's on topic with what we're talking about, like repetition and kind of really like not seeing it as a trouble to repeat something again and again when it's for the other person's benefit. I'm preaching to myself here, as I mentioned to you. Like until this day, my theology was bad, but I'll tell you why my theology was bad in that area. I never paid attention to that particular detail in Philippians chapter until today when we're studying it. And Bruce said, by beholding we become changed, because in 2 Corinthians chapter 3 verse 18 it says, but we all with open face beholding as in a glass the glory of the Lord, we are changed into the same image from glory to glory, even as by the Spirit of the Lord. So when we repeatedly expose ourselves to the glory of God, we also become changed and transformed into that same image. We become more like Jesus. That's why we call our first segment in the program
More like Jesus.
More Like Him. And Bruce said, hey, did you know that the word dog is God backwards? Said, that's absolutely, and that's, hey.
In English.
In English, it works very well. That's right.
Yeah.
Very good. Let's keep going here. Let's see. So Paul is saying, hey, beware of the dogs, beware of false teachers, the false circumcision, beware of evil workers. So these are people that pretend, that have a veneer, they have an appearance of godliness, but they deny God's power in their lives through their actions.
Right.
And then, so who is the true circumcision? There's a false circumcision. Who's the true circumcision? Let's see verse 3.
Just before we do that, I just want to ask, have you ever met people in church who say they're Christians, but then you want to maybe confront them with something that they've been doing and they're like, oh no, that's just the way that I am, or no, God can't help me overcome that, or, Satan's stronger in that area. Have you ever met anyone like that?
I have, and actually they remind me of a character of that amazing book called The Pilgrim's Progress.
Oh, okay.
Have you read that one?
I have, yeah.
Yeah, there's one character that called Talkative, and Talkative knows how to talk the Christian talk so well, better than most, actually. Right. But when you go to his house, to his household, and you see how he treats his wife, his children, his servants, you can see that there's no shred of Christianity there whatsoever.
Yeah.
And he's happy. And in Talkative's mind, there's one thing is the Bible and the things of God and so on. The other thing completely is your practical life. Mm-hmm. A lot of people have that disconnection without realizing.
Yeah, that dualism in their life.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, let's keep reading. In what verse are we looking at? Verse 4, was it?
Verse 3.
Oh, verse 3. For we are the circumcision who worship God in the Spirit, rejoice in Christ Jesus, and have no confidence in the flesh.
That's right. So what is the three characteristics here of the true circumcision?
We worship God in the Spirit, we rejoice in Christ Jesus, and we have no confidence in the flesh.
That's right. Because what we see is that these false circumcision, they do exactly the opposite of these three things. What is the opposite of worshiping in the Spirit of God?
Worshipping falsely?
Yeah, worshiping just as a empty religious act.
Practice.
Yes, without any life in it, just like lifeless deeds of worship.
Repeating meaningless prayers or... Yeah.
Yeah, you're just performing the acts of worship with your hands, with your mouth.
Mm-hmm.
You're
with
not
your
really
heart.
worshiping with your heart.
Yeah.
Then what is the opposite of glorying in Jesus Christ?
Opposite of rejoicing in Christ Jesus. I guess, God says he loves a cheerful giver or someone who comes to him cheerfully. What if you're just saying you're a Christian, but you're not rejoicing, you're not connecting with him, you're not really loving him?
Yeah. I'll take here, because it says, in my translation it says, we glory in Jesus Christ. Let me see what's the Greek word here. Because in your translation it says rejoice. Is that right?
Yep.
So let's see here. The Greek word is kauchaomai, which is we boast or we glory.
Boast. Okay.
Okay, we speak loud.
Okay,
about
so
that.
maybe
We
the
boast.
opposite of doing that would be being timid or not really wanting to have anyone else know that you're
Yeah.
a Christian, being just like keeping it on the down low, you know, letting your actions speak more than your words when you're out and about, right? That's what we hear a lot in churches to,
Yeah, I think
you
that
know,
you're
preach the
in the
gospel
right
more with your
track.
actions than your words. But no, this is
I haven't
like
thought about that one, but I think you're right.
be using your words, be
It's-
boastful of Jesus in your life and
Yeah.
what he's done to change you.
I think you're right. I think that a lot of people, they can be either timid about Jesus Christ or renegade to
Yeah.
Jesus like a secondary role in their lives, or it could be just like the traditional, at the time of Paul, Jewish preachers who would actually 100% oppose Jesus and not trusting him
Yeah.
completely.
Yeah.
And Paul say, hey, they might be circumcised in the flesh, but they're not circumcised in their hearts, because if they were, they would have received Jesus as their Messiah. And then the third thing here is that we put no confidence in the flesh. And again, this is a direct remark to what the Bible calls the Judaizers. The people are
Yeah.
saying, basically, we are saved. What's commending us to God is our works, our own righteousness. That was a big part, not of Old Testament theology. I cannot stress this enough. A lot of Christians think that Old Testament is legalistic and New Testament is by the heart. I don't see this at all. I think that the entire Old Testament, I think the entire Bible salvation has always been by grace through faith alone. God never saved anyone by good works. It was always by faith. But some people, and I think this is a very human tendency, some people try to secure their own salvation, their own merit with God based on their own righteousness.
Yeah.
That's what we do. And it was certainly true to a lot of the Judaism in the first century. It was based on that. I do not know if that changed in Judaism, modern Judaism today,
Yeah.
if there's more emphasis in faith in God and trust in God, irrespective of their belief or lack thereof in Jesus. But certainly in the times of Paul, these people would come and say, hey, if you don't circumcise, you cannot be saved, for example.
Sure. Yeah.
So Paul is saying here, like, hey, we are actually the true circumcision. So don't listen to these people. And then Paul will go on to open up another parenthesis, as he does.
Yep.
So you see here the string of parentheses.
Yeah. It's always, look, Paul's got a lot of good stuff to say. I just struggle with the way he says it all the time.
If you're into programming language, you would appreciate the Apostle Paul.
Right.
If you're like into programming things in like Excel, like spreadsheets, like Microsoft Excel and stuff like that.
I'm not.
You know, when like you're opening a parenthesis, then you have a formula, then you have a parenthesis for that formula, then a parenthesis for that formula, and then you close 3, 4, 5 parentheses after all of
crazy.
that. I'm talking here to people that are into this thing because I worked a lot with that thing.
I know nothing about that.
This is reading the letters of the Apostle Paul for you.
Right. Yeah.
So Paul starts talking about, hey, I'm going to repeat something to you. Beware of the dog's evil work is false circumcision. By the way, this is the true circumcision, which is we don't put confidence in the flesh. By the way, let me tell you how I could be putting confidence in the flesh. So he's opening the third parenthesis here,
By the way,
explaining what does it look like to put a confidence in the flesh.
was he a little bit maybe ADHD? Sorry, I got to go down this rabbit hole quickly. I'll come back in a second. Like,
That's so funny. I don't know. I don't know about that, but I know that he's opening up a new parenthesis here.
Sure.
And the parenthesis is, okay, what are the reasons that Paul himself could actually boast big time, not in Jesus, but in his flesh, in his accomplishments? So let's read this, because I find this part of the book of Philippians so entertaining.
okay, verse 4 says, though I also might have confidence in the flesh, if anyone else thinks he may have confidence in the flesh, I more so. Circumcised on the 8th day, of the stock of Israel, of the tribe of Benjamin, a Hebrew of the Hebrews, concerning the law of Pharisee, concerning zeal, persecuting the church, concerning the righteousness which is in the law, blameless.
Okay, that's Paul here. Paul said, look, so if someone can actually boast
That's me.
in my resume, look,
No one more so than me.
me.
I'm the best.
Look, I
the
was
best
circumcised on the 8th day. What does that mean?
He was circumcised at the right time that God had instructed
It means
him
that his
to.
mom and dad were both Jews
They were
and
both
both
Jews, yeah.
faithful Jews.
Yep.
So look, I was born like with a, so to speak, with a silver spoon, spiritually speaking.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. For example, Timothy wasn't circumcised.
He was only half Jew, half Greek.
That's right, because
Yeah.
mom was Jewish, dad was Greek. He didn't get circumcised, and actually, Paul ask him, hey, go and circumcise yourself.
Sure.
We spoke about that last year. Okay. And the reason being because Timothy was going to be witnessing and teaching to the brethren in Jerusalem.
Yeah.
And if the brethren in Jerusalem who are Jews, they look at him and say, who are you to teach us about God if you yourself are a bad Jew?
Yeah.
You're not even circumcised.
Yeah.
So Paul says, hey, look, so that,
not causing a stumbling block on that
not cause a
issue.
stumbling block, go for it. This is not for your salvation or anything. This is really just so you can
build bridges.
And mingle with people.
Wow, what a crazy way to build bridges, though.
Yeah, it was a painful way, for sure.
Dear.
He says, look, I was circumcised the 8th day, mom and dad, from the nation of Israel. So my mom and dad, they were not proselytes. They didn't become Jews. I am from the tribe of, I know what my tribe is.
Yep.
At that time, a lot of people didn't even know what the tribes they were. They were so mixed marriage and intermingled. They didn't even know.
Yep.
But for Jews back in the days, for you to know which tribe you are,
you're a proper
that was a
Jew.
big thing. Yeah. I'm from the tribe of Benjamin.
Yeah.
So much so that his name is what? Was Saul. Shaul, which is
he was named
King
after
Saul.
King Saul.
He was from a Benjamite.
The very first king of Israel before David.
Exactly.
Yeah.
A Hebrew of Hebrews. And then there are all kinds of Jews. But in regards to the law, a Pharisee. Now, the Pharisee is the most law-abiding, strict interpretation of the scriptures. For you to even be a Pharisee meant that you have to have the entire Old Testament memorized.
True. Yeah. So he knew the thing back to front.
He knew it back to front, and he practiced it. And now they
had like 613 laws or something like that.
Yeah, well, there's not a Pharisee thing though.
No?
This is a broader Jewish thing.
Sure.
There are 613 commands, depending on how.
But the Pharisees were the ones who lived it and taught it.
That's right.
Yeah. More so than the
and more than the
average
613.
Jew.
The 613 were not the problems. The problem were the
Extra
additional ones.
Yeah,
Yes.
which they probably knew back to front as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he says, but then there's Pharisees and Pharisees. There's just Pharisees that are just people that are just doing their thing and teaching so on. I was no ordinary Pharisee.
No. He was the
I was
prodigy.
a persecutor of the church.
Yeah.
I was the person whom the chief of the Pharisees would come when they needed someone to do like a difficult job to. I'm going to be in their quick call list.
Yeah.
I'm going to be in their speed dial.
Yeah.
There's not such a thing as speed dials back in the days, but you get the point.
Talk to Saul, he'll get it sorted.
That's right. It's like
Yeah.
Better Call Saul, but Bible version.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean.
Oh, mate.
We persecutor of the church, and as to the righteousness which is in the law, blameless. So even among those who are persecutors of the church, when it comes to the to like following the law, like you could not find a single fault with me. Think of a Bible verse. He's fulfilling it.
Yeah.
He's practicing it.
Yeah.
There's not one that he's not. So Paul says, look, I could brag. I could totally brag in the flesh. I could totally brag.
That's not what this is about.
Yeah. You know, I don't think that any of you is more faithful to the scriptures than I was. But then he says this, verse 7.
Verse 7 says, "But what things were gain to me, these I have counted loss for Christ."
Yes. These I have counted as loss. So all of these things that to me was like, man, look how good I am. Look at all of my medals. Look at all of my accomplishments. All of these things. When I saw Christ, I realized these things are rubbish. They're lost. They don't mean anything. They have absolutely no role to play
There's no
into the
value
righteousness
in
of
them.
God. The righteousness of God is not doing these kinds of stuff. It's like dying for the world as an innocent without ever sinning so that you can redeem. Like, how can we ever attain that level of righteousness? And the answer, of course, it's impossible.
Yeah.
There's nothing we can do
There's no
to
way we
match.
can work our way or get merits in any sense.
No, we can never match the righteousness of Jesus. It's just impossible because Jesus lived a perfect life. He loved God and humans supremely from his birth all the way to his death. And now, what we can do is to grow into that grace on a daily basis and forevermore. Even throughout eternity, we'll be growing into becoming more and more like Jesus. But we won't ever be able to match the model.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So Paul saying, hey, look, you know what? Forget about this curriculum, which is good news, which means, hey, you know what? Stop stressing out about all these human things. They have a proper place. It's a good thing to be zealous for the law. It's a good thing to know God's law. But hey, you know what? The most important thing is to trust in the righteousness of Jesus.
You're listening to the Breakfast Show podcast on Faith FM. Positively different.
We also need to give away the answer to the quiz question. So please, Sandy, what's the quiz question answer?
In Micah 1 verse 8, because of Israel's sin, Micah would howl like a wild dog and moan like an owl or moan like an ostrich.
See, those were both
They
in
are
my mind.
Such wildly
Okay.
different animals.
They
like
are
birds,
wildly
though.
different, and that's
Yeah.
what was confusing me for such a long time. I was like, is it an owl and ostrich? Do they, either of them make moaning sounds? I think they do. I really don't know.
Yeah, I'm wondering
Yeah.
if they do sounds like emu. I can impersonate an emu.
Okay, go
Go
then.
for
Can you
it.
impersonate an emu?
I don't want to try.
Oh,
I don't even know what they sound
Look,
like.
emus sound. I have one of the most amazing sounds in the whole animal kingdoms. They kind of it's like it's something like this,
Oh, really? Okay.
but it's very deep.
Oh,
So every time that I see an emu, I say, "Hey, emu, can you say something for me?" Because I absolutely love your
Oh,
voice.
can you
It's
say
this
something for
guttural
me?
love. It's
Cute.
very deep. It's kind of makes your heart kind of a tremble at the same time. It is quite an amazing sound. The other bird that has incredible sound is the cassowary.
I was wondering, can you mimic a cassowary?
I cannot do cassowary, but I'll tell you this. Remember the film Jurassic Park?
Yeah, isn't it
Remember the T-Rex?
Yeah.
Guess what they took the sounds of the T-Rex from?
from the cassowary?
cassowary.
Really?
That's not surprising because they're basically a T-Rex in bird form.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They'll
There's
scratch
some
your face
also very deep sounds.
Oh, dear.
So there you go, ostrich. So Micah chapter 1 verse 8. Now you might be asking yourself, like, hey, how do we know it's why do you translate like ostrich or owl? Or for
Yeah.
example, in my translation, it doesn't say dog, it says jackal. And the reality is one of the hardest things to translate in the Bible are plant and animal names.
Really?
They can be very hard. Sometimes not so hard, but sometimes says, yeah, we don't really know because it could mean dog, it could mean jackal, it could mean ostrich or owl or so.
Wild birds or wild dogs or
Yeah.
something.
So it could mean both of them. So that's why sometimes, you just have to take with,
Grain of
one
salt.
and go with it.
Yep.
Very
Okay.
good.
We've come to the end of our show
Already?
today.
Okay, we have.
That is so sad. It always gets to this time at the end of the show, and I'm like, no, we don't have more to talk about. We
Not only-
can't sit and talk for another 3 hours. What? What is
That's right.
this?
And not only that, Lindsay, but today's a special day because it's preparation day.
It is preparation day.
Is the Paraskevi. It is the day of preparation, the 6th day of the week, because tomorrow is the 7th day, is the Sabbath. It's the day of the Lord. It's the day that God has appointed for the entire humanity to come together and worship Him.
So how can we prepare for that today?
Look, one of the things that you can do is if you haven't been to a church before on the Sabbath, try doing this. Going to
When does Sabbath
to
start?
fellowship. So Sabbath starts on the sunset of Friday because this is how people back in the Bible days even
Measured time.
used to measure time. It's not like midnight to midnight. It was before clocks. It was like something a bit more organic. It was from sunset to sunset. And on that day, God has commanded us to keep that day holy, that we don't need to worry about our work, our jobs, our money-making adventures. We just can trust in God's provision. And we can take this whole day apart to rest, to spend time with God's people, to rejoice, to worship God, to learn the things that He has done, to do good to those who are sick or who are in need. Amazing things that we do. Basically, God says, look, I've got you covered this day. This is how you can show your faith to me if you trust in me. So my encouragement is to, hey, look up at the nearest Seventh-day Adventist church nearby your house. They will be worshiping God on the Sabbath. And you can tell them, hey, we came here because of Skafy and Lindsay
Yeah.
and Sandy. We're their friends from Faith FM. Can we join you for worship? And guess what they're going to say? They'll
Yeah.
say, absolutely. Come on in. Let's all worship the Lord together. So why don't you do this and tell us your experience on Monday? We'll be looking forward to hear.
Yeah, awesome. You know what I usually like to do on a Friday night in order to prepare for the Sabbath? I like, sitting in a hot bath with some candles on, listening to Bible or maybe some worship music. Or if I've got friends and family around, I'll share a nice meal with them or, things like that. Something very restful, peaceful, connecting, those types
Yeah.
of things to
There
welcome
you
in
go.
the Sabbath.
There you go. Everybody has their little rituals
How
here.
do you do
Look, at home,
Sabbath?
we gather, we make a special little dinner. I light up some candles, put it on the table, and we sit down. I have some grape juice as well, ready to go.
Yum.
Organic grape juice from Brazil,
Oh, good.
which is the best of the best, and then we pray, we eat, then we sing along, we sing to our heart's content, all worships to God. My wife plays the piano, I play the guitar, and we all sing together. This is it. So tomorrow we are going to be worshiping with you on the Sabbath, and on Monday we'll be back.
God be with you till we meet again. God be with you till we meet again. By his counsel's guide uphold you, with his sheep securely fold you. God be with you till we meet again. Until we meet again at Jesus' feet again. God be with you till we meet again.
Thanks for being a part of the Faith FM family. Join our community on Facebook or get in touch at 1-800-FAITH-FM.